Hey, what's up, gang? Adam Pohlman here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's video. I am so freaking pumped to walk you through this video today because it is probably going to be one of the most impactful videos, if not the most impactful video that I have made yet. What I am going to do is take you behind the scenes, behind the curtains, and walk you through exactly what I do with my coaching clients to take them from dad/mom bod to peak physique in 120 days or less so that you can get the exact same results, if not better results, for yourself. So if you don't have your phone on you or a pen and pad, something to take notes with, make sure you do that because you are going to want to write things down. So make sure you pause the video, go grab something to write notes with, and come back ready to learn. Let's not spend any more time dilly-dallying here and jump right in. Buckle up. We're going to go over how you can go from dad/mom bod to peak physique in 120 days or less using the FORM method. Now, I want to make it clear, you don't have to be a dad or a mom to benefit from this. I use the term dad bod, mom bod because that's what a lot of my clients use to describe how they felt before they started working with me. Overweight, sluggish, felt like their weight, their body, their health was just slipping as the years were going by. And oftentimes people say things like, I want to lose the dad bod, I want to lose the mom bod. So I use terms like that, but you do not have to be a dad or a mom to benefit from what I'm going to share with you today. So let's not spend any more time. Dive in real quick, starting with a quick intro into who I am and what I am about. So again, my name is Adam Pohlman. I am a personal trainer. I'm also an online fitness and nutrition coach, and I have been doing this for over 10 years now. This is my career. It is something I am very passionate about. I also have all my certifications listed out here for you, just so you're aware. Most people don't really care or frankly know what these letters mean. That's okay. I just have them here to let you know that I take this very seriously. I am always serious about continuing in my education. This is not some sort of like, oh, there's some fitness influencer dude on the internet who's just selling random programs. Like, no, this is my full-time career. I'm extremely passionate about what I do. I love what I do, and I deeply care about the clients that I work with and help. I take this very seriously, and I hope that you'll be able to tell by looking through and listening and watching this video all the way through and gaining all the bits of information and value that I'm going to give you. So not only do I have experience working with people like you, not only do I care about people like you and helping people like you, but I've also gone through a similar process that I'm about to walk you through. I've had struggles myself when it comes to my body composition, working out, fitness, nutrition, all that good stuff. And through a bunch of trial and error, learning from my mistakes, that's how I kind of put together the formed method. And that's the method that I have used and still use to this day to help my clients out. And that's what I'm going to walk you through today. So that's a quick intro. We'll get more into my story and how I got here in a little bit here. But let's go ahead and move forward. Like I said, I've been coaching and training for over a decade. I've been fortunate enough to help hundreds of individuals transform not just the way their bodies look, feel, and move, but their lives as well. Before working with me, before implementing the FORM method, most of my clients would describe feeling, overweight, undermuscled, lack of confidence from that. They wake up in the morning, don't really like what they see in the mirror. They feel like their health is slipping. And ultimately, a common thing that they describe is that they're not living up to their potential. And of course, this negatively impacts quality of life, right? Our body, excuse me, our body is the vehicle in which we experience the world, okay? So of course, if our body is slipping, is not performing well, that's going to impact the quality of the life that we have, from our marriage to our relationship to our productivity to our performance in work to our confidence to our physical capability to do things to the way we see ourselves. It's going to touch every aspect of your life. Now, after going through the FORM method, implementing the things that I'm going to share with you today, a lot of my clients would describe feeling lean, strong, defined. They're able to walk into any room with their head held high with a lot of confidence. And their quality of life, obviously, is drastically improved because, again, their newfound health, fitness, nutrition, body, the way it looks, feels, moves, bleeds into every aspect of their life. These are just a few success stories that you're going to hear more about later on in this video. Brady, Paige, Eric, Alexa, people from all walks of life were struggling before, were able to finally get the results they've always wanted through the FORM method, and that's what you're going to learn here today. So who is this for? That's what we need to talk about, because I'll be honest, this is not for everybody. This is not for everybody. But if you are someone who is struggling to see results despite your efforts, maybe you've been trying really hard. Maybe you were trying hard a few months ago, not so much right now, but you're still doing a little bit, and you're struggling to see any sort of progress despite your efforts, this is for you. If you're overwhelmed with the conflicting fitness and nutrition information out there, maybe one YouTube video you just watched, or scrolling on Instagram or something, someone said one thing, another video said another thing. You're like, well, what the heck do I do? What does this mean? Maybe you've tried or are currently trying to upgrade your physique. You're sick and tired of feeling soft, sluggish, out of shape, lacking confidence, uncomfortable in the mirror, at the pool, in your clothes. You're sick and tired of not living up to your potential and feeling like your body and your health is just slipping year after year after year, and you're becoming just like everybody else who's just letting themselves go and laying on their back and accepting it. Maybe you need to be a better role model for your kids, your spouse, your loved ones, your coworkers, your family, and you're wanting to drop at least 10 to 20 pounds of stubborn fat while building visible muscle. People say you can't do that, but you absolutely can, and I'll show you through some of my client success stories as well as my story. And maybe you're looking for a proven and sustainable system to transform the way your body looks, feels, and moves for good. If that is you, if you meet one or more of these categories, this video is for you. But this is not for you if you are looking for an overnight fix. We have a massive problem, okay, in the fitness industry right now with coaches, trainers, influencers promising the world without having to give anything up. Get in the best shape of your life without blank. Do this, this, and this without blank. Because everybody wants to think that they can achieve the greatest things in life without having to change much in their current life right now. But that's just not how the world works. A sacrifice and trade-off is always required. Now, as you will see later in this video, I will talk about doing things like getting in great shape without cutting out your favorite food. But that doesn't mean you get to eat your favorite food all the time, as much as you want, whenever you want, and still get great results. There are always trade-offs, and there are always some sacrifices you're going to have to make. So if you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, right? If you're not willing to make sacrifices in order to become your best self, just shut this down right now and just go back to scrolling and kind of like just being a zombie through life. This is not for you. If you're okay settling with the way things are, slowly dwindling in your health and following society's norms, I'm telling you right now, this is not for you. If any part of you feels lukewarm about getting in shape, you're like, I don't really care that much. Shut it down. Shut it down. Move on. Okay, not for you. Now, here's the truth, okay? You don't need the perfect workout plan, nutrition protocol, peptide, drug, or anything of the like to fix your metabolism so you can drop stubborn fat, build muscle that you didn't even think was possible. There's no secret. Nobody's going to tell you that. There's no secret out there that you have yet to discover. You're going to see all these videos that are like, discover the hidden secret behind losing. There is no secret. You know 95% of what you need to do. Right now, you do. You know 95% of what you need to do. All the information on health, fitness, nutrition, fat loss, muscle building in the world is out there. With AI, you can get it in milliseconds. Yet, you find yourself in this position. And most people, probably just like you, aren't able to get these results on their own. Shouldn't say aren't capable entirely, but aren't capable right now of getting these results on your own and on their own because you don't understand how to, one, facilitate optimal results with a minimum effective dose. If you didn't catch that, that's the formed method. We want to do the least amount possible to elicit the greatest change because that gives us the most room for potential. That gives us the most room to make sure you are the 2.0 version of yourself. You probably don't know how to systematize a clear, actionable plan that's guaranteed to get results. To take all the information that you know. Like I said, you know 95% of what you need to do. But you have no clue how to take all that information, make it a clear, structured plan where you know what you are doing when you wake up every single day. And you know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, if you do that, it is guaranteed to get you to an end result. People don't know how to do that, right? And then the third thing, this is the biggest one. People don't know how to increase their self-awareness for flawless feedback mechanisms. Fun fact, the strongest predictor of weight loss success and weight management success, so keeping the weight off, is self-monitoring, both through regular weigh-ins as well as keeping a food log. People either don't want to or they refuse or don't know that they need to do those things. And so therefore they are not self-aware. They don't know what's wrong. Therefore, they don't know what to fix. And the saying that what gets measured gets managed is like the whole mantra of the formed method. And you will see that through everything that I'm going to walk you through. So if you're even in a spot where you're like, I'm not willing to kind of self-assess what I do and take a closer, honest look at my habits and behaviors and calorie intake, like again, don't watch this. This isn't for you. But if you want to increase your self-awareness so you know exactly what's wrong and exactly what you need to fix to finally get the results that you want, then you're going to benefit from this a lot, okay? Lastly, people just don't know how to build structure around the things that throw them off. Work, travel, family, lifestyle. They have no idea how to do that without falling into the all or nothing trap. They're fine when everything is in their control, when they got access to the food they need access to, when they're able to meal prep everything. But then they go on a trip for the week and they're like, oh, screw it, right? I don't know how to navigate that, so forget it. And they go one step forward in their progress and then 2 steps back. And so between vacations, social events, work things, they spend the whole year working out, eating well when it's in their control, and then going 2 steps back 365 days later to make 0 progress. We can't be doing that. You have to learn how to build structure around these things so you can continue to make progress no matter what life throws at you. These are 2 examples of people that really did that well, all of these things well. I taught them how to do that. Troy, before he was working with me, he was like, dude, I'm going to the gym 5-6 days a week. I feel like I'm eating pretty well. Nothing's really changing. Sylvia, she was going to Orange Theory Fitness like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 6 times a week. And she was getting after it. She was like, I don't eat a horrible diet. What's going on? Neither of them were paying close attention to any of the things that I'm going to walk you through here in the next few slides. That's why they weren't seeing results. So we increased their self-awareness through these tools and strategies and tactics I'm going to share with you. And then they were able to get in incredible shape. I'll talk more about Troy later on. And Sylvia as well, but their results were incredible, and they only had to make some minor tweaks. Okay. Now I know that like I said, there are a lot of people out there who aren't capable of making those fixes because they don't know how to do those things. But don't worry, I'm not going to let that be you. Okay. If you're here watching this, you are already one step closer to building the body presence and mindset and confidence that you've always been missing by making it this far in. What is it? 10 minutes in, 11 minutes in at the time of this recording, before edits, whatever. Point is, you're still here. You care enough. Because here's the reality. There's no such thing as the perfect time to start. Broken metabolisms, the perfect nutrition or workout plan. There's no such thing as getting in shape equals giving up every single thing that you enjoy, being starving all the time. That's not true at all. I just talked to a couple clients this last week. They told me, although they're in a deficit, which means they're eating fewer calories than they were before, because that's what you need to do to lose stubborn body fat, lose any body fat. Although they're in a deficit, they're more satisfied and they're enjoying their diet far more than they ever had before. That's the name of the game, baby. Name of the game. Okay. Now, there's no such thing as bad genetics that completely prevent fat loss or muscle gain. No, there's no such thing. These things don't exist. Okay. If you are here, you already have one thing that most other people don't, and that's a desire to change. If you are still watching this, clearly you have a desire to change. So I invite you to stick around, and I want you to get a pen and a pad so you can take some freaking notes. All right. Now, if you want to be that person that finally sees this change, that benefits from everything in this video, good. This is going to be you if you pay attention, because we're going to talk about how to drop at least 10 to 20 pounds of fat while building visible muscle. People tell you that's not possible. It absolutely is. How to become the 2.0 version of yourself, new and improved version of yourself. This is what I always talk about with my prospective clients, right? Let's say your name is Jane or John. What does John 2.0 look like, feel like? What's different about his day? What's different about his confidence? What's Jane 2.0 look, feel, and move like? What's different about her life? This is the stuff you kind of need to start thinking about, because if you just are heading in a general direction just for the sake of it, you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to do well. You need to figure out what the 2.0 version of you is like, and it needs to be so extremely motivating that nothing's going to get in your way. Okay, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And I'm going to teach you how to do all this stuff without strict dieting, meaning like following one specific diet, like low carb or keto or carnivore or whatever, not cutting out any of your favorite foods, but learning how to include them in with moderation, or living like some sort of fitness obsessed bodybuilder who's bringing their Tupperware to everything. Okay. Now here's how I got here. All right. When I was first working out, I was so obsessed with getting bigger and gaining more muscle that I was just looking at that scale, trying to pack on as much weight as I possibly could. And it got to a point where I really wasn't seeing that I was fat. And one day when I reached 240 on the scale. This wasn't even me at my heaviest. This was like on the way down. But I reached 240 on the scale, and for some reason, I don't know what exactly it was, if it was that number I saw or something, but it clicked, and I was like, this is out of control. I'm clearly fat. I'm not as lean and muscular as I want to believe. I'm fat. Something needs to change. So I started trying to lose the weight, started trying to lose the fat by doing tons of workouts, doing tons of cardio, eating clean on the weekends, having some cheat meals on the weekends. And I was able to lose a little bit of weight. Like, I wasn't able to maintain the muscle that I was working so hard for. I wasn't able to like build that really well-rounded physique that I wanted, that was lean yet muscular, could move really well, feeling really good every single day. And I remember I was just putting so much work in, but wasn't seeing the exact results that I wanted. I was like, gosh, what is going on? What is going on? I was that person that was like, I'm doing all the right things, but not getting results. That was me. So if you felt that way, you're not alone. That was me. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put myself under a microscope. I'm going to take a look at every single thing that I am doing and figure out what's going on. That way, if there's nothing quote unquote wrong, I can figure out what the next step is. Sure enough, I realized that I was not doing everything the right way. I was eating clean Monday through Friday, but my cheat meals were completely offsetting everything that I was doing during the week. So people who tell you one weekend's not going to ruin anything, not true at all. It absolutely can, depending on how hard you go with your calorie intake. I was just doing a bunch of random workouts. I wasn't paying attention to them. I wasn't logging them. I wasn't trying to observe progressive overload, slowly increasing my weights, my reps, anything like that. There was no purpose, order, or structure. So it's no wonder I wasn't seeing results, right? I was working hard. Like anybody can flop around on the floor like a fish for an hour, which is really hard. That doesn't mean it's going to get you results. You need to have a specific plan that's designed to get you from point A to point B, and I didn't have that. So through my own trial and error, I ended up figuring out what I needed to do, and that was the birthplace of the Form Method. I finally got in the best shape of my life. This picture down here is with my wife. We were in Lake Powell, and this was one of the moments where everything like clicked. And I felt an immense amount of freedom because I was enjoying all these different foods, right? Knowing kind of intuitively almost after all the tracking that I did, how to include them in, how to make sure that I wasn't going one step forward and two steps back with my progress while on vacation. I had my shirt off for like a week and a half straight at the lake. Felt confident every single day. Still feel like my birthday was during this week and they made me this amazing cake and I didn't feel like I had to be like, oh no, got to make sure I stay in shape. No, I was like, okay, I know how to include some of this in my diet today without, going off the deep end and letting it bleed into the next days and next days. And this is where I was like, okay, I need to bundle up every single thing that I've done and help other people, help my clients do it this way because it was too impactful. So this is a brief overview of the Form Method. It's a system I built through my own trial and error, like I said, by moving from guessing and just working generally hard to following a systematized approach. And I'm going to break it all down for you absolutely free. So this is a brief overview of the phases, and we're going to go through those here in a bit. So not only am I going to go through each phase, but I'm going to go through like the sub-steps in each phase. I'm going to outline the entire process from A to Z of what I did to accomplish these results, how my clients have accomplished these results, how I've been able to do that for them and help them with the Form Method so that you can use the same strategies and tactics to drop at least 10 to 20 pounds of stubborn fat, build visible muscle, and ultimately become the 2.0 version of yourself, because I know that's what you're after. All right. Whew, a lot of talking. So here's a brief overview. Phase 1, performance priming. Phase 2, precision physique protocol. Say that 5 times fast. Phase 3, forever fit framework. This one is key, and we're going to talk about it here in a bit. So many coaches and trainers just focus on getting their clients to their goals, and then it's like, all right, see you later. Have fun. I make sure with every single one of my clients, once they reach their goal and they're ready to maintain it, I teach them what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to show you one of my clients that was able to, and still is able to, maintain his insane transformation for 7 years straight because of what we worked through in the Forever Fit framework. Okay. A lot of my clients in phase 1, they notice improved energy, right? What we work on is improved metabolic foundation through strength, building lean muscle tissue. So that way we have an easier time losing body fat and keeping it off. Clothes start to fit better. They have dramatically increased strength gains. Their stress starts to go down. But phase 2 is where these big time results start to come in. There's some serious visible fat loss and muscle gain. You'll be waking up, looking in the mirror, being like, dang, this stuff's working. I'm actually seeing results. We're not cutting out any specific foods, but we're learning how to include the things that we love without obliterating the goals that are important to us. Perfection's not necessary, but I'm always going to be challenging you to live up to the potential that I know you have and be better. A lot of my clients notice a ton of confidence here because, again, they're waking up, looking in the mirror, barely recognizing the person that they are because of how much progress they've made. They're getting new wardrobes. They're getting compliments from trainers in the gym. They're getting compliments from their family peers. Hey, what are you doing? What's the magic pill? What's the solution? Confidence goes through the roof. You can just tell in their progress photos when they get on check-in calls with me, their confidence is higher. They carry themselves better. That's what you're going to notice here in phase 2 as well. And then phase 3, we're finally at that stage where we have a lean muscular physique that you are proud of. And you're going to learn how to master this intuition that's going to come with a Forever Fit framework, right? Intuitive eating, I don't necessarily love that phrase, but really what I'm talking about is kind of knowing how to approach your nutrition, your steps, your lifestyle, your training without meticulously tracking and paying attention to everything so that you can kind of seamlessly maintain the results that you've had up to this point. And you're aware of when something slips and what to change so you can get things back in the right direction. And you're going to trust in yourself to be able to do this for life. So let's freaking go. Let me show you how we're going to optimize every single one of these steps so you can eliminate the guesswork and eliminate the frustration and get predictable results that come in week after week. Here we go, baby. Phase 1, performance priming. So the first thing that we are focused on when I'm working with somebody is a client intake, where I'm asking them every single thing about their life, their food, their nutrition, their workout, their gym equipment, all that stuff, their stress, what their day-to-day life is like, their work environment is like, because I want to know this person almost as well as I know myself so that I can best help them. Now, good news for you is you know yourself better than anybody else does, okay? So you're going to have a good sense of where your weak points are, what you need to fix, and what you need to adjust. But with my clients that I work with, that's what we do. I send them a ton of info, things to fill out so that I can get a really good understanding of their life. From there, what we're going to need to do is get a baseline body composition test. So you can just look up in your area, DEXA scan near me, or you can also look up bone density scan near me. And the reason you can look up bone density scans is because DEXA scans do test for bone density. So you would just have to make sure that that test also tests for body composition, lean muscle tissue, and fat mass as well. The reason we want to establish those baseline numbers for body composition test is because we are going to get very specific calorie and nutrient intakes based on those numbers. So many people use these really, really inaccurate, cheap body composition tests, whether it's those home scales or an in-body test, and they use that information to get their starting numbers for their calorie intake, and they screw themselves over because those are almost always notoriously low. This last week, at the time of recording this last week, I had a client, when she started with me, based on one of those cheaper, kind of less accurate tests, she thought her body fat percentage was 30%. And I was like, hey, let's get a DEXA scan just to make sure, because I had a feeling it was off. DEXA scan showed 43%. Last year, I was working with a client, Jerome. When you look at him, you would think maybe 20 to 22% based on his progress photos. He got an in-body scan, and it had him at 16%. I was like, I don't think that's right. Let's get a DEXA scan just in case. He did, 28% body fat. Without those numbers, we would have had a much more inaccurate idea of what the starting point was and what we needed to do to get to where we want to be. So first thing you want to do, you don't have to, but it's very, very helpful, is get a baseline body composition test. And I would do that at least once every 6 months, okay? If you could do it once every 3 months, that would be sweet. They're usually just a little bit harder to find and can be a little bit more expensive. But anyway, DEXA scan, okay? DXA scan near me. You want to make sure you go fasted first thing in the morning, after using the restroom, before eating and drinking. They will tell you you don't need to be fasted. You do. Although DEXA scans are less sensitive to hydration compared to other methods like an in-body scan, they are still sensitive. So you want to make sure you eliminate that as much as possible. You want to make sure that you have as much of a repeatable environment from test 1 to test 2 as well. And the easiest way to do that is to get them done at the similar time of day and make sure you haven't had any food or water up to that point since you woke up, okay? Now from there, what we're going to do is we're also going to have some impactful goal planning. So many people are just like, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. Whoop-de-doo, who freaking cares? Why? What is a 20-pound loss going to get you? How much better is your life going to be? I have all of my clients go through a vision assignment. So I'm going to ask them, I ask them questions to literally walk them through, hey, how are you going to feel when you get to this state? What's different about what you see in the mirror? What's different about how you feel when you wake up? How does this benefit your relationship with your kids, with your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend? How does this benefit your ability to jump into your career after college and absolutely freaking crush it? How does this impact your ability to get that next promotion you want so bad? I want them to envision what their life is going to be like, because when they do that and when you do that, you are going to be on fire to reach this goal and nothing is going to stop you. So you need to have that vision assignment done and that goal planning. And it doesn't have to be a specific one that you look up with specific questions, but just grab a pen, a pad, a journal, and write down how you see yourself, what you see yourself becoming, who you see yourself becoming as a result of getting to the place where you want to be when it comes to your health, your fitness, your nutrition, your body composition. Okay. Now, with all of my clients' information, what we're going to do is we're going to develop a training program. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through how we kind of approach that on a kind of overview type of level. So first, we're going to look at access to equipment. Okay. Are you at a home gym? Are you at a commercial gym? What do you have at that commercial gym? Because that's going to dictate what exercises we're going to do, what modifications we're going to have to make because we don't have access to certain equipment. We're also going to figure out how many days a week that you're willing to train. So many people talk about I need to do the 6-day-a-week training program, but they know in the back of their mind they can't do 6 weeks or 6 days. They're not going to commit to it. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, realistically, how many days a week can I train, and for how much time? Because that's also going to dictate how you structure your exercises, and how you account for the time that you have. A workout that's where someone has 90 minutes compared to a workout where someone has 50 minutes is going to look entirely different. We're going to use things like supersets and whatnot to make sure we shave a little bit of time off. Now, most of my clients are on a 3-day or 4-day a week training program. A few of them are a little bit more, but generally 4 days a week is a really good sweet spot. 3 days a week works great too. If you do 3 days a week, you could do a full body workout each day. You could do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full body. You could also do lower body, and then you could do an upper body, and then you could do a full body, something like that. But generally what we're going for is training your muscle groups anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. So that means you are training your chest at least twice a week. You're training your back at least twice a week, things like that. From there, once we have that established, like let's say a client says they want to work out 4 days a week, or you are able to work out 4 days a week, you could do an upper body, lower body, take a day off, upper, lower, and then you have the weekend off, right? So there's your routine. So from there, we need to figure out how many sets per muscle group. So then from there, we need to figure out how many sets per muscle group per week you are going to have in this training program. General recommendation is as low as 6 to as many as maybe 12 sets per muscle group per week. There's a lot of debate in there, but we don't need to worry about that. All that matters is that if you're trying hard with the sets per week that you do have, you're probably going to get results. If you're first starting out, you can go on the lower end. If you're not, you can go towards the higher end. But I recommend a decent starting place is about 9 sets per muscle group per week. Okay? Roughly 8 to 9 sets. So let's say you're doing 3 full body workouts on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. That means you want to make sure each muscle group that you're training is hit for 3 sets on each of those days, right? Because 3 and 3 and 3 would be 9. You can structure it a million different ways, but that's just a brief kind of overview on how you can put that together. Now, we want to have an emphasis on strength and lean muscle gain. When it comes to your training program, the goal of your training program is not to burn calories. The goal of your training program is not to get sweaty. The goal of your training program is not to be out of breath. The goal of your training program is not to feel like you need to just drag yourself out of the gym or someone else needs to drag you out of there. Those might be byproducts, but that is not the intention. Your intention, and we'll talk about how to scale and pay attention to this in phase 2, but the intention is to get as strong as you possibly can. Lifting close to failure. That is the point of being in the gym. You are in the gym to focus on your strength and muscle gain. You are focusing on your nutrition and your steps to create the calorie deficit you need to lose body fat. You are not using your workout as a means to lose body fat. Can I make that any more clear? I want to make sure this gets through your head. I want you in the gym to be as strong as possible, to get after those weights, and to build lean muscle tissue. Okay? That's what you need to focus on. One of the ways that we do this, first exercise for most of my clients' program, is going to be primarily strength focused so that we can keep a baseline level strength. And we're usually going to do that with very, very foundational movements. Okay. Squat, deadlift, overhead press, something like that. Okay. Depending on what they prefer, what they're willing to do, what they care about. Anywhere from 2 to maybe 8 reps. Good amount of rest in between sets, 2 to 3 minutes or so. From there, we're going to work more on hypertrophy type stuff, anywhere from 6 to 12 reps. Not that that is strictly hypertrophy. People who are actually into exercise science in the comments, you don't need to roast me for that one. I understand you can build muscle anywhere from 5 to 30 reps, but generally speaking, 6 to 12 works well from a recovery standpoint and a performance standpoint. So all of the other movements from there can be anywhere from 6 to 12 reps, about 90 seconds to 2 minutes in between rest, depending on how much time you have. The more you shorten your rest, the more sets you're going to need to do to try to get a similar muscle building stimulus. Okay. So that's how you can generally kind of put together your workouts. So for example, you could start with a squat, and then you go into a dumbbell bench press that's supersetted with a cable row. And then from there, you have some accessory stuff, like you do some lateral raises, or you could do a shoulder press there. And then you have your biceps, triceps, maybe a little abs. You're done. See you later. But you got to make sure that you're pushing yourself really hard for all those sets. Otherwise, it's not a waste, but you're definitely not getting as much out of it as you possibly could. Now, this is a little bit of an older screenshot as to where I put my clients' program, but we have everything in an app, okay? We have everything in an app. Their workouts, they know exactly what they need to do when they wake up every single day. They know what the exercise looks like, how many reps, how many sets, what they did last time. You don't have to use an app like this, okay? But you do need to have some way of keeping track of your workouts. Now, once we have the training program developed, we're going to go into our nutrition mindset. And this is another part of phase 1 in performance priming. We need to make sure that we are approaching nutrition the right way mentally. So this is what we're going to walk through here in the form method. We want to focus on adding and not taking away. By the way, this is just the first page, a screenshot of the first page of the food list of a general overview of how I want my clients to think about their nutrition. Okay, they don't have a specific meal plan where it's like 7 a.m. you need to eat this. That's not how that works. I'm not doing that for them. Okay. I want to give them just an idea of like, hey, what does a healthy diet look like? What could a healthy diet look like? And then they can pick and choose from there. But we are always focused on adding, not taking away. So in these first three categories, we have healthy staples, healthy additions, healthy and a balanced diet. I want you focusing on all of these foods taking up at least 80% of the calories that you consume. So if you have a 2,000 calorie diet, that would be 1,600 calories a day at least coming from these categories. Okay. And you want to focus on adding these things into your diet. You don't want to focus your diet around taking away the bad things because that's going to give you a scarcity mindset. It's going to give you a poor way of looking at food. And I promise you, you're going to get to a point where you create a forbidden fruit effect with those other foods. And you're going to get to a social situation where all those foods are out there. You're going to have one of them. And then you're going to feel like you have to have the rest of them because you're, quote, never allowed to have them ever. But that's just not how this works. We're adding the stuff in that's going to make our diet better. The other stuff will kind of find its way out. We also want to add to what we already do. So if someone has yogurt first thing in the morning, but their fiber is really low, let's add some berries to that yogurt because yogurt is already kind of a habit. We enjoy the yogurt. We have the yogurt regularly. We want to add to what we already do rather than adding something brand new and flipping your diet on a, completely on its head, turning your whole world upside down. That's going to be hard to follow right away. We want to also have an emphasis on simplicity and convenience. So many people try to be foodies when it comes to implementing their nutrition, and it's a horrible time to do so. I like to teach my clients to focus on dishes that have 5 ingredients or less. It's easier to track, easier to pay attention to, and it's a lot simpler and a lot more convenient. Power bowls, smoothies, one-pot dishes, things like that. 5 ingredients or less. As you get better at tracking, as you get more consistent, as you're seeing progress, sure, have some more complicated meals. No doubt about it. But at the beginning, we want to focus on simplicity and convenience, okay? We also want to set baseline nutrition habits. So this is a brief overview of those healthy staples, healthy additions, healthy and a balanced diet. This is from the Henselman's PT course. So that's where I got this general overview and idea from. I think it's a great way to look at food. Now, again, this doesn't mean that anything on this list is inherently unhealthy. We want to think of healthy diet when we look at the diet as a whole, not one specific food. Okay, but the more you pursue these whole natural nutrient dense foods that are on on this first page, the more likely it is that your diet is healthy and well-rounded. Okay. Now with these baseline nutrition habits, a few things that we're focusing on, fiber intake. 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories consumed is a general idea of what you want to look at for fiber. I have all of my clients pay attention to fiber. Why? Because it has a massive impact on body composition? No, because it's going to pull you towards whole natural nutrient dense foods that usually are pretty satiating and can tend to be a little bit lower in calorie depending on the source that you pick. Okay, it's really hard to get a high fiber diet when you are eating nothing but highly processed, hyper palatable food. So we want to focus on fiber. Again, 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories consumed. I also like to give my clients, if they have a hard time with fruits and veggies, a minimum amount of fruits and veggies every single day that they need to eat in grams. For example, 800 grams of fruits and veggies every single day. And we set that as a habit because when we start focusing on calories and we focus on macros, those baseline habits are going to make those things a whole heck of a lot easier. All right. So that's a general overview of how we're approaching the nutrition mindset. Did I go back a slide? No, we're good. Okay. Now, this is where we get into the good stuff, the nitty gritty here, where we're setting calorie and protein targets. So remember when I said you want to get that baseline body composition test? This is why. We're going to take a look at your starting body fat percentage. Okay. If you're a man, you're going to be looking at this category here. If you're a woman, you're going to be looking at this category here. And then we want to figure out where you want to be. Generally, it's obviously up to the client. It's going to be up to you as well. But I usually like to see people. I know that people tend to feel their best obviously when they're in this athletic category, but at most on the lower to middle end of this average category. So a great range to shoot for as a guy is anywhere from 8 to maybe 16% body fat. As a woman, anywhere from 14 to maybe 25% body fat or so. Some people feel fine, a little bit higher, but I always want to nudge people towards athletic because generally speaking, quality of life, confidence, all that good stuff, athletic abilities, strength, health outcomes generally tend to be better as we are more towards that athletic category, assuming that they're taking care of their health in other areas as well. Now, based on your starting body composition numbers as far as your body fat percentage, that's also going to determine what deficit makes the most sense, where you can lose a good amount of fat in a shorter period of time without risk of muscle loss. Now, you can see that the more overweight or obese somebody is, the more of a deficit they can get away with without risk of muscle loss. And that's just because their body has so much stored energy, so much stored calories in the form of body fat, that the odds that they use that muscle tissue to try to make up for that deficit, assuming they're eating enough protein and resistance training properly, are so extremely low. But that's not the case with someone who is already pretty dang lean. So the leaner you are, the smaller your deficit should be. By the way, calorie deficit is consuming fewer calories than you need to maintain your weight. And then the higher someone's body fat percentage is, the greater the deficit can be. Now, notice how I emphasize the word can. You don't only want to pick something that's based on what you can get away with. You also want to pick something that aligns with what you're willing to do. I talk to so many people that want to get results from a 30% deficit, but they're not willing to do what it takes to be in a 30% deficit. So it's okay if you want to be more conservative. It's okay if you want to be more aggressive. You just need to make sure that you're willing to do what it takes to do either one of those things, whether it's more conservative or more aggressive. So because most people are willing to be moderately aggressive, I generally recommend anywhere from a 20 to 30% deficit, depending on the individual, depending on the tolerance of the individual as well. Of course, you can go into a much more conservative deficit at like 5 to 10%, but your weight loss is going to be so extremely slow, and you're going to hate it because you're going to feel like, okay, I'm in a deficit. I'm barely losing any weight. Why am I going to keep doing this? Another thing too is that there's some research that shows that how we feel about a deficit is much more based on our mental perception rather than the actual physiological experience. So for example, someone in a 10% deficit can be told they're in a 30% deficit and they're going to feel a lot hungrier, compared to someone who's in a 30% deficit and told they're in a 10% deficit who's going to feel super full. So what I'm getting at here is that whether you're in a 10% deficit or a 30% deficit, odds are you might mentally feel similarly about it, but you're going to be more upset with a 10% deficit because your results are going to suck. So you're going to feel the same thing with a deficit, whether it's 10 or 30, but you're going to have slower results with 10. So you might as well go on the more aggressive side of what you're willing to do. And for most people, that's anywhere from 20 to 30%. I've had a few clients that were willing to do 35 or 40%, and they absolutely crushed it. They didn't lose any muscle because they were getting enough protein. They were strength training properly, but most people, 20 to 30%. And by the way, that's 20 to 30% fewer calories, like I said, than you need to maintain your weight. Okay. Now, based on the deficit that you choose, you can kind of see what you should be able to get away with, your max weekly weight loss based on a percentage of your body weight. So let's say you opt for a 20% deficit, and we assume that at most you're going to lose 1% of your body weight each week. You can easily create a projection of this, and this is what I do with all of my clients. Let's say you start at 200 pounds, right? And you expect that at the most, if you're dialed with everything, you're going to lose 1% of your body weight. You can do 200 times 0.99. That next weight times 0.99. That next weight times 0.99. That's going to give you a general idea of what you should expect every week or so as far as your weekly weight loss, assuming you're still in a 20% deficit. Now, of course, you have to keep this in mind. What happens on paper is not going to be the exact same thing that happens in real life. So if by week 4, you're supposed to be at 196, but you're actually at 196.8, don't freak out. You're on the right track. You're on the right trajectory. The trend is similar. That's all that matters. Okay. But this gives you a good idea. This is also going to help you see if you think you're doing the right things, but you're really not, which is pretty much everybody out there who's trying to give some sort of effort, but isn't getting results. Okay. You can see that, okay, well, based on a 20% deficit, I should be losing upwards of 1% each week, but I'm only losing like 0.25% each week. So clearly I'm not in a 20% deficit. So maybe I'm not tracking my food accurately. Maybe I'm not as active as I think I am. Maybe my starting calorie targets were off. And then you can go back to the drawing board, adjust those, and then see what happens over the next few weeks. And you want to take a look at your weekly average trend, which is what we're going to talk about here in a bit. Okay. So that's a general overview of what you can expect. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what if I'm building muscle? The scale might not change at all. If you're in a deficit, your rate of fat loss is going to exceed your rate of muscle gain. No doubt about it. So if you're in a deficit, even if you are building muscle, you should still see that average weight go down over a period of time. Now, if you've never worked out before, right? Or you're a hyper responder and you're building muscle like crazy. Yes, because of that, your percentage of body weight lost each week might be a little bit lower, but it's still going to be going down over a period of time. Okay. So that's all you need to know for that. So you have your calorie target set based on the deficit that you want to follow to get the result that you want, which is also based on your starting body fat percentage. Okay. Now we also need to establish protein targets. Generally, what I recommend is anywhere from 0.6 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Okay. Now, I give such a big range because different people need different things. Someone who's 250 pounds and obese does not need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. They can go down to the 0.6 mark. But generally, I like to meet in the middle, around 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight for most people. There are some exceptions to that, and you can always try to get more if you want to. You're probably only going to feel more satiated, and it's only going to be extra insurance when it comes to muscle preservation and muscle building. So why not get more if you can? Those are some general protein targets that you can shoot for. Now, this is where we get into the nitty gritty of keeping track of progress and making sure we are on the right trajectory. So we need to start with regular progress monitoring. This is going to be through average weights, weekly average weights. Weigh yourself first thing in the morning, after using the restroom, before eating and drinking. Write down your daily weight on a notepad, the Notes app on your phone, dry erase marker on your mirror, whatever it might be. Write down that daily weight. At the end of the week, when you have 7 weigh-ins, you're going to take the total, divide by 7. That is your weekly average weight. And that's what you can use to see if your body weight is heading in the right direction, if you are losing body fat, okay? Which, by the way, if you are building strength, if you're increasing in strength progressively throughout the whole time you're doing this process, odds are you're building some muscle, okay? Which is what we'll talk about here in the benchmark sets as far as how to progress that and really see if you are building strength, okay? But anyway, weekly average weights, that's what you're paying attention to. So many people make a huge mistake of avoiding the scale. Don't do that. People will tell you, oh, but the scale doesn't tell the whole picture. It doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't need to. It's going to give us enough of an idea for fat loss to know if we're heading in the right direction. So use the scale every single day. Taking the average is going to help account for fluctuations. Okay. It's also going to remind you every single day that you are working towards a goal. Remember when I said self-monitoring is the #1 predictor of weight loss success. Weighing yourself regularly is a part of that. So freaking do it. Out of sight, out of mind. That applies here. When you're not weighing yourself, nutrition slips a little bit, workouts slip a little bit, and you see yourself every single day in the mirror. You're not going to notice that 1/4 pound of fat come on every couple of weeks. You're going to weigh yourself 3 months later and you're going to be up 8 pounds and you're going to go, what? What the heck happened? You need to weigh yourself regularly. If that average weight is trending down, you are headed in the right direction. Now, I will say sometimes there's a 2-week stint where you have the same average weight 2 weeks in a row. That can happen. That's normal. Don't worry about it. If you are not seeing the average weight go down over the course of 3 weeks, you are not in the deficit that you think you are in, period. So wait till the 3-week mark to be sure. Don't just do it for 1 week or 10 days and be like, oh my gosh, I need to change everything. Give it a bit, okay? So we're also going to get into seamless and simple food tracking, but I'm gonna actually no, we'll talk about that because we already talked about calorie and nutrient intake. So with your food tracking, you can use any app that you want: Chronometer, MyFitnessPal, Macros First, MyNet Diary, Fat Secret, Lose It. Those are a ton of great options. This is a screenshot of Macros First. I love Macros First. I used to be a MyFitnessPal guy. Macros First is way better. But I have my clients use whatever they want. Just use whatever user interface that you enjoy. It doesn't matter as much as to what app you use. It matters a lot more when it comes down to how you are weighing your food, how you're tracking your food. Do not do tablespoons, cups, any sort of measuring things like that. Do not do that. You can have 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. One weighs 35 grams, one weighs 28 grams. Completely different calorie content. And if you have those tiny errors that add up multiple times throughout the day, you could be having hundreds of calories of a discrepancy between what you're actually doing and what you think you're doing. Remember, self-awareness is huge when it comes to this. And you are not being self-aware if you're just weighing or guesstimating. Using measuring cups or guesstimating. You need to weigh in grams. Weigh your food in grams. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's such a pain. You're not used to it. It's like doing a budget. You do a budget for the first 2 times, you're like, gosh, this is annoying. And then you get used to it. And then you find that it's really helpful. And then you find that your finances are better. And you're like, oh, I kind of start to like my budget because it really helps me out. Same thing with food tracking. I don't take more than 5 minutes to track my whole day's worth of food. because you get better at it. And it's an app. The app learns you and what you're consuming. So the more simple and repeatable you keep your meals, the easier it is to track, especially when you use the meals and recipes features in the app as well. Where was I with that? We're food tracking, okay? That's going to help you see what you're doing and making sure that your calorie intake is actually matching. I also love Macros First too because it gives you a week overview, and it will give you like your weekly total. Because some people will be like, oh yeah, I did really well. I don't know what's going on. But one day they had like 2,500 calories, and that offset their average for the whole week. And they're like, I don't know why I didn't lose weight that week. That's why, okay? So I love Macros First for that reason. All right, workout progressions. Here's how we're going to assess progression and strength increases with our workouts. We're going to do that through benchmark sets. So this is a screenshot of one of my clients' workouts. Now, I went through this with him and kind of coached him through how he needs to improve this, and I'll do the same for you. So our benchmark set is our first set. That's what, gosh dang it. That's what we are using. That's what we are using to assess progress as to whether or not we're getting stronger. So the goal is to hit the rep target with about 1 to 2 reps left in the tank if your life absolutely depended on it. So you're getting to 10, using a weight that's so challenging. You're getting to 10, knowing you maybe could have done 11 or 12 if I was sitting there like screaming in your ear telling you to lift it. Okay? 1 to 2 reps short of failure. Now, if you hit your rep target with that weight on the first set, the next time you do that workout, you need to increase the weight. The weight stays the same for the following sets unless you know for a fact that you can lift more weight for the same reps in the next set. And if you do, you weren't trying hard enough on that first set, which means the next time you do the workout, you need to increase that weight. Now, let's say you notice that you do 10 at 55, 10 at 55, 10 at 55. The reps are staying the same every set with the same weight. That first set was not heavy enough. You should be building and accumulating fatigue, your body getting tired, after every single set, which usually means you are not going to be able to lift the same weight for the same reps every single set. So when you know you're pushing yourself, it's going to look like 10 at 55, 9 at 55, 7 at 55, something like that. As the sets go on, the reps go down. However, you now know this. So you have to make sure that you are not psychologically like tricking yourself into believing or feeling like it's difficult and you can't do any more by really slowing that last rep down, making a face, grinding. I just did 5, 6, and now all of a sudden, 7 is hard because I know I need to go down in the set. No. You need to be pushing yourself as much as you possibly can. Your body will tell you when it's done. You should see those reps start to go down. If you don't hit the rep target on that first set with a certain weight, you are going to stay at that weight until you hit the rep target in that first set. I'm not concerned about what's happening in set 2 and set 3. We want to compare set 1 to set 1 from one workout to the next. So that's how you're going to progress and have those benchmark sets assessed. If you're increasing in those over time, you are not only building strength, but you are building muscle as well, especially if those increases continue to happen past the 4, 6, 8 week mark. Because a lot of the strength increases at the beginning are largely from coordination and your central nervous system, okay? Now, actually, let me go back. One more thing. You might have noticed how I didn't bring up carbs or fat. I don't really have my clients pay attention to those things because who freaking cares, to be honest with you. A lot of people make a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to carbs and fat. Now, there are exceptions. If you're a bodybuilder, someone who's competing, you need to pay meticulous attention to every single little detail. That's different. I don't coach competitors, so we're not talking about it. If you're an endurance athlete, you need to care about carbohydrates. I don't coach endurance athletes, so we're not talking about it. Set your carbs at whatever you want. See what helps you feel and perform best. Your fat, all I ask here is make sure that you're not consistently getting less than 25% of your calories from fat. Fat is so important for hormonal health, for nutrient absorption, micronutrient absorption, vitamin A, D, E, and K, fat-soluble vitamins, which are really important for your health. You want to make sure that you're not consistently getting less than 25% of your calories from fat every day. Pretty rare, considering that people who are trying to hit a protein target are usually consuming foods that have protein and fat in them. But you also want to make sure that a good chunk of your fat intake isn't purely from saturated fat. Saturated fat in and of itself is not bad. You just want to make sure that you get a wide variety of types of fat in your diet. So make sure you have some fish here and there. You have nuts, you have seeds, and olive oil, things like that, okay? No less than 25% of your calories consumed consistently. There might be a day or two where it happens, whatever, not a big deal, but definitely something to pay attention to over time. Now, this is where we go into phase 3, the Forever Fit framework, okay? Now, I will say if you're still here, you've been watching this, you clearly care about this. Keep paying attention because this is where it gets really helpful. People know how to reach a goal. We don't have a weight loss problem here in the States or in the world. We have a weight management problem. That's because nobody learns how to do this. So this is phase 3, Forever Fit framework. We are going to wean off of tracking. Unless you enjoy tracking. If you really love tracking, cool. Continue to track. I like tracking, but I don't track all the time. Excuse me. So you're going to wean off. Usually how we like to do this is you're going to have one weekday and one weekend day where you're not tracking. And you're going to make sure that your habits stay intact because something that people do sometimes is kind of treat non-tracking days as free-for-all days. That's not how this works. The food you're consuming still counts. So you want to make sure that you keep the habits and principles in place. The only difference is you're just not taking the time to enter it into your phone, in your app. Okay? So you're going to do that. You're also going to continue to weigh yourself. Yes, after you reach your goal, continue to weigh yourself because self-monitoring is one of the strongest predictors of success when it comes to weight management, keeping the weight off for good. So many people get to their goal, like I said earlier, they don't get on the scale. A month goes by, 2 months goes by, they don't realize those pounds are starting to pile on. They get on the scale and they freak out because you just don't see those tiny changes day after day over time. So you want to make sure that you're weighing yourself daily, still getting the average. Now, if you notice after taking a day and a weekend day, a weekday and a weekend day off of tracking, and you do that for a month, your average weight is starting to stay the same, you're in a good groove. Now from here, you can take another weekday, another weekend day off, and continue that process, making sure that your average weight and your physique is staying the same. Next thing you know, you've got nearly effortless maintenance through minimized training volume and nutrition logging. Okay? You're kind of maintaining this. You're kind of not coasting, but this is just what you do now. And you're not meticulously paying attention to everything. And if things slip a little bit, you know when because you're still weighing yourself regularly. And you know exactly what you need to do because you built the skills and the tools and the systems necessary from the previous phases. Now, the reason I bring up minimized training volume here is because right now at this point, according to some research, it seems to be accepted that it takes a lot less work to maintain the strength and muscle than it did to build that strength and muscle. So for example, let's say I use 9 sets per week, per muscle group per week to build a certain amount of muscle and strength. I would need less than that. In theory, I would need less than that to maintain it. I've also seen this to be true in the real world with myself and my clients. So don't expect or think that you have to keep cranking up the amount of sets per week that you're doing per muscle group to maintain the progress. Okay, you should be able, as long as you're trying really hard, your protein intake is solid, your recovery is solid, you don't have to do a crazy ton of stuff to maintain what you've built. Really good to know. This is my client, Eric, here. When Eric and I first started working together, well, before we started working together, he was working out pretty regularly and was one of those guys that was just, he was like, dude, I'm working out, nothing's changing. What's going on? Well, he didn't really say that because I was really young at the time when I first started out, and I could tell just by the look on his face, he did not trust me. And I was working with his wife at the time. And I was like, Eric, just give me 3 months. I promise you I'm going to help you with this. You're going to get in the best shape of your life. Promise you. A few months later, 10% body fat. His words, I'm in better shape now than I was in high school. His words. He has been able to maintain this for 7 years. I reach out to him once, maybe twice a year, just to see how he's doing. 7 years straight, he's maintained this because of the stuff that we worked on through these principles. Okay, and other clients have done the same. And when my clients do this and they actually decide to commit, and when you do too, and actually go all in, not be a fence sitter. People are sitting on the fence all the time. Ooh, I kind of want to lose weight. Ooh, I want to do the things that got me to this point and hold on to my comforts. I kind of want to lose. No, you have to get off the fence. You need to commit. You can't be lukewarm. Both feet in. Because when clients decide to do this, they see wins like crazy. They see wins faster. And when they do that, their motivation and consistency increases. They feel so good that they want to continue doing even more than they were because the results are that freaking beneficial. They see even more body composition change and an even better quality of life. And they get to their goal in a way shorter period of time than they thought they could because they decided to commit instead of frankly pussyfooting around and being like, oh, I'll try to watch what I eat a little bit. No, commit. Your life is going to be so much better in a shorter period of time. And you're going to be done with your deficit sooner too. There's so many people that are just like, oh, I'm going to try to do a really small deficit, just to be conservative. And they just drag it out. And because they have such tiny, hardly even noticeable wins, it's hard to be consistent. They're in a deficit, which they're really not, but they're in a deficit for like a year. They're in a dieting mindset for a year instead of just being in it for 3 to 6 months, being done and enjoying their much better quality of life and they're much better looking, performing, and feeling body. So why would you not do that? Just commit and get it done with. My client Sylvia, she lost 12% body fat without any sort of miserable diet. Remember, I was talking about her. She was doing Orange Theory all the time. Wasn't seeing any results. Proper strength training, proper nutrition intake, down 12% body fat. A lot of women her age would dream of that in their sleep. She's doing it in real life, has maintained it since. Brady, your boy, 24 pounds down while gaining muscle. Paige, she lost 20 pounds of body fat loss. She lost 20 pounds of body fat. She's also a nurse that has a crazy rotating hectic schedule that makes sleep harder. If she can do it, you can too. Kevin got abs without giving up his favorite foods. Alexa, she lost 14 pounds, which by the way is extremely impressive considering that she is extremely short and petite. 14 pounds was a lot for her. She lost 14 pounds and gained strength and muscle. Now she's got a much higher metabolic rate, has a much easier time maintaining this year round. We've built her calories up. She's loving life right now. Troy, he's lost 24 pounds of fat, only 4 months. I met with him for coffee the other day, a few days, like last week. At the time of this recording, I guess his doctor said that his blood work looks like that of a 40-year-old. He's 57. Like, what are you waiting for? You can absolutely make this stuff happen too. This is a wife of one of my clients. I'm sure he told you, but he had been stuck in an endless loop of do whatever to lose weight diets and then giving up after a couple months. You finally showed him how to lose weight the right way. It's a repeatable formula that you're sharing with so many people. So much excitement. His story is so much fun. Alexa, same girl I just told you about. Things are going well. Weighed 120.5 this morning, and 120 was my goal. We hit freaking goals here. We don't mess around. I was feeling so happy with that, feeling a lot stronger, feeling like my muscles are much more visible. Let's go. Nearly 30 pounds down, continuing to drop. Look how consistent this fat loss is. Boom, 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 boom. Now you can see those averages, they dip out. They dip up a little bit. That's normal. But this is consistently losing. Another client here, a personal trainer came up to her at the Y to tell her that her transformation is absolutely amazing because he's been seeing how hard she was working. Those compliments are awesome. Just wrapped up the workout. I'm getting noticeably stronger and my stamina is better. This is awesome. Let's freaking go. All right, down another 5 pounds this month, and the month isn't even over. Incredible. But this story right here, we got to talk about this because we know this system is powerful. By the time that you've watched this whole video, you should know this system is powerful. Obviously, it works. But it's not just about the system. It's not just about the results. It's about what the results get you. That's what you're after. You're after not just 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds down on the scale. You're not just after 5, 10 pounds of muscle gain. You're after what those things are going to get you. Okay. I asked one of my clients who saw an amazing transformation, who was kind of considering whether or not he wanted to do it at the beginning. I was like, hey man, what do you think would have happened if you just chose not to do this and you decided to just keep being a fence sitter? This is what he sent back. If I were still that person today, the guy he was before we were working together, I would no doubt be insecure. I'm sure there'd be an extreme disappointment in myself that I let myself get this way. And yes, that I allowed myself to become like 90% of the guys my age who just gave up. I try to justify that having a dad bod was normal, but deep down would absolutely know better. I can only imagine the shame when being at the pool, naked and intimate with my wife, or seeing myself in the mirror. You can sense like how important this was to him that he changed. I'd probably have very little energy and little care for any sort of activities. When you are like overweight, out of shape, it's just like it's hard to give a darn in life compared to when you're on top of the world. I wouldn't have the energy to play with the grandkids, which would make me feel even worse about myself. I'm so grateful for where I'm at and can't really imagine being the guy that never took action required to be in the best shape of my life at 49. Guys will sit around a fire and talk about how they used to be in incredible shape at 25. This dude's living it at 49. And then my grandkids think I'm the strongest person in the world. I lift not only for hypertrophy, muscle building, and strength, but also because my mind now requires it. We need to talk about that too. It's not just your body here. It's your mind, your mental resilience, your grit, your ability to handle hard things. Fitness helps you tackle anything in life. He says, it's my vice. And as I tell people, there aren't many problems in life that can't be made at least a little bit better by imposing my will on some metal. It's incredible therapy and one of the most valuable things to me. That's the stuff you can't go to the store and buy. That's the stuff that people can't give to you. That's the stuff that's earned. And it changes your whole entire life. It changes who you are. Okay. Now here's the thing. Now that you understand exactly how this process works and this system works, I have an offer for you. All right. If you're sick and tired of feeling soft, sluggish, and uncomfortable, you're sick and tired of not living up to your potential, remove my head, you might feel like you need to be a better role model and example for your kids, your spouse, your loved ones, your friends, yourself. And you're looking for a proven and sustainable system to transform the way you look, feel, and move for good. And you are ready to finally get off that fence and get results. You're ready to stop being lukewarm and actually take some action and make things happen. And you're ready to completely transform your body. You're ready to go from dad/mom bod to peak physique in 120 days without strict, miserable dieting or living in the gym 24/7, bringing your Tupperware around like a crazy bodybuilder. I have an offer for you. I will implement the formed method for you. I will put everything into place with you by your side, helping you replicate these results, if not even better results for yourself, so you can dramatically transform the way your body looks, feels, and moves for good, so that you can do it in half the time, with half the frustration, half the confusion that you would probably get if you were to do it on your own. In fact, I'm so freaking confident in this system and process that I guarantee you will get results. If you don't see visible results in the first 90 days of working with me, I'll continue working with you for free until you do. That's how confident I am in this system. So if you want to see similar results like this, you want access to this form method, you want me to put it all together for you and walk you through it, coach you through it, I'm here for you. I want to see you win. Go to the description, click the first link there, and book a call with me. We will chat. I'll get to know you more, get to know your history, your goals more, and really figure out if and how I can best help you. Worst case scenario, we decide that something else is a better fit for you, and I point you in that direction, or give you the best next steps to make sure you are moving in the right direction towards your goals. So if you're ready, go ahead and click that link in the description, that first link there. We'll talk to you here soon. That's all I've got for you.